let's take a look at a graph. And on this, you need to be extremely careful to copy the graph down accurately. We're to find the slope of the line. Now, copying this graph from the screen is going to be difficult. So let me give you some help. Well, to give you help, I need to work the problem. I need to know what the coordinates are of 2 points on this graph. So let's see if we can determine what 2 points are. Well, it looks to me as if this graph crosses the y-axis here. That gives us the coordinates 0 sideways and then 1, 2, 3 up. So this point has coordinates 0, 3. Then, as I look at the grid, it appears that the graph touches the grid crossing at this point. So this point has coordinates starting from the origin to the right 2, down 1, 2, 3, and so we have 2, negative 3. So here our 2 points are 0, 3 and 2, negative 3. Now you can put your ruler down on your graph and draw the line. Now also we can determine the slope because we have got 2 points. We can fill those values into the equation and find the slope. So point number 1 is 0, 3. Point number 2 is 2, negative 3. Well, that gives us an x1 and y1, an x2 and y2. And we can fill into the formula for slope. Slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Here's our form for the slope. So we'll fill in y2, which is negative 3, subtract y1, which is 3, over x2, which is 2, subtract x1, which is 0. The numerator is negative 3, subtract 3, which is negative 3, add negative 3. That gives negative 6. The denominator is 2 subtract 0, which is 2. And so we have negative 6 over 2, which is negative 3. And so for the slope of the line that we are looking at on this graph, the slope is equal to negative 3. And there's our result. Slope is negative 3. Alright, now I've got an exercise for you. Find the slope of the line. Find the slope of the line. Here's your line. Can you determine points that are on this line? Look at it very closely and make sure you can determine some points that are on this line. Points that where the line crosses grid crossings. Once you've copied the line and you're sure you're right, then stop the tape, calculate the slope, and restart the tape to check your answer. Your answer should be 1/2. The slope is 1/2. If you had trouble copying the line, here it is once again. See if your points will give you the slope of 1/2. Now let's look at one more thing about finding slope. This time we want to find the slope of a line from its equation. Here's our procedure. To find the slope of a line from its equation, first, solve the equation for y. Solve the equation for y. Second, the coefficient of x is the slope. The coefficient of x is the slope. That means the only work we have to do is step 1, solve the equation for y. Then automatically the coefficient of x is the slope. The slope-intercept equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. This is a form that you'll see often. This is a very, very important equation. I'll give this lots of stars also. Y equals mx plus b is a form of the equation of a line that's very important to you. Notice that the m is a coefficient of x. That's the letter right beside x. So the m, the coefficient of x, is the slope. And that's precisely what this sentence says. The coefficient of x is the slope. So our only job is to solve the equation for y. So let's do that with an example. Find the slope of the line 2x subtract 3y equals 6. The first step is solve for y. So let's do that. To get y by itself, we must remove the 2x. To remove 2x, we'll add negative 2x. Now, I've rewritten this as 2x add negative 3y to make the sign unambiguous. 2x plus negative 3y. Add negative 2x, and on the right-hand side, add negative 2x. On the left-hand side, as planned, the 2x's cancel, and so that leaves us with negative 3y equals 6 plus negative 2x. To get the y by itself, we must divide by negative 3. And so we'll divide every term by negative 3. On the left-hand side, the negative 3's cancel, leaving us with y. On the right-hand side, 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2, and negative 2x divided by negative 3 is positive 2x over 3. That gives y is equal to negative 2 plus 2/3 x. Well, we've done the first step, which is to solve for y. The second step is read the coefficient of x. Well, the x term is written at the end in this form. The coefficient of x is 2/3. That means the slope is 2/3. So we found the coefficient of x in the form where y is by itself. Now, it may be troublesome to you that we have y equals a constant and then the x term. Remember that in adding, since addition is commutative, we can switch the terms. And so this form may be written as y is equal to 2/3 x subtract 2, or 2/3 x plus negative 2. This is the form y equals mx plus b, so that the m comes immediately to the right of the equals mark, since the x term is the first term mentioned to the right of the equals mark. But all we've done here is switch the order of these terms. So if you prefer, you may write it in this form, and that's really the preferred form for a final result in working with the equations. All we have to do, though, is just solve for y and then read the coefficient of x wherever the x term appears. Now, an optional check on this would be to take the equation that we've found here, y is equal to negative 2 plus 2/3 x, and find the slope using our slope formula. Let's check this one just to get a better feel for what's happening here.